Why, hello. Welcome to Purple Sunrise. I am your host, Nora Rhoades, an extension agent with K-State Research and Extension's Post-Rock District. Throughout today's Purple Sunrise episode, we are going to dig into some strategies to improve dealing with stress. Perfect timing for the holiday season. These strategies can be applied at home, at work, and anywhere in between. So what is stress? Stress is the way that your body responds to experiences and events. Appropriate stress is healthy and useful and can help you rise to a challenge and face tough situations with focus, strength, stamina, and heightened alertness. Stress can also be super overwhelming. It can cause distress, such as anxiety, tension, or irritability. Learning what causes stress and how you manage it in a positive way can help you cope and live a more balanced and healthy life. In order to begin identifying what causes you stress, we need to talk about stressors. Stressors are simply the events that provoke stress. Some stressors are caused by negative events such as a family argument, physical danger, test anxiety, or even concern over finances. Events that we look forward to, such as celebrations or going to a movie with a friend, are also stressors. Stressors can be one single event, or they can be a result of multiple events that pile up. Think of like a stack of Legos. You notice it can be one single event, or it can be a stack of them. So what stresses you out? Yeah, think about that. Is it small? Is it big? Is it positive? Negative? Let's dig further into that throughout today's Purple Sunrise podcast. As you think about stress in your life, think about the stages of stress. Our body reacts to stress in 3 different ways. Certain hormones are pumped into the bloodstream during this first stage of alarm. This is when your body tells you that you are experiencing stress. Your heart rate speeds up, your respiration increases, your digestive system can slow down. All of these things are triggered because of the hormones that are pumped into your bloodstream. Your body is ready to either fight, flight, or freeze. It's kind of a survival reaction. The next stage is resistance and adaptation. This is when your body tries to repair the damage caused in stage 1 and bring the body back to normal condition. It is only when stress is not positively dealt with that we go into this 3rd stage, which is exhaustion. In exhaustion is when your body starts to kind of shut down because it can't be stressed all the time. Release must occur through resistance or adaptation, or you just get stuck in the mud of this exhaustion stage. When you think about exhaustion, you think about a stress overload. So it's anxiety or a panic attack, an upset stomach, a headache, a chest pain, skin changes such as eczema, difficulty sleeping, sadness, or depression. These are not normal, healthy ways to react to stress. If you hit the exhaustion stage and bounce right back to your normal, then that means that your resistance and adaptation mechanisms are pretty effective. Like I said, if you get stuck in the mud of exhaustion, you create a very unhealthy normal for your body. Instead of normal being attentive and happy as a whole, you're kind of stuck in this down, exhaustive state. And unfortunately, there can be some really long-term mental health and physical health repercussions of the exhaustion stage. Everyone experiences stress differently. Some of us react to stress by lashing out at others, while some of us will internalize our stress and will deal with it. We'll bottle it up. Regardless of how we deal with stressful events, we can all experience the symptoms of stress overload. And stress overload or exhaustion can happen for positive and negative stress. We need to deal with it effectively to avoid that. So we're going to spend most of the time today here in Purple Sunrise talking about resistance and adaptation so that we can think of some healthy ways to deal with stress. So if we effectively resist and adapt to stressors, we bounce back to normal condition. Normal condition does not necessarily mean that it is health and wellness. It just bounces back to what your body and your mental state was before that stressor showed up into your life. Well, we cannot get rid ourselves of stress, so you can learn to manage it. So the ultimate goal in stress management is to achieve a balanced life with time for work, time for relationships, time for relaxation and fun. Plus, the resilience to hold up under pressure and meet life stressors head on is a bonus. Again, we can't get rid of this stress, so we really need to dig into ways that we can push ourselves back to normal condition when we're faced with it. Well, how do you know when you are dealing with stress? What we want to do is try to catch that alarm that our body is telling us as soon as possible. So it's important to be able to reflect and think about what your stressors are. Stressors are simply events that provoke stress. Some stressors are caused by negative events such as a family argument, physical danger, test anxiety, or concern over finances. Events that we look forward to, such as celebrations or going to the movie with a friend, those are also stressors. I mentioned that earlier. So we need to be thinking about, is it a single event or is it the result of multiple events that are piling up? Are you stressed because of things that have been boiling up throughout the entire year? Or did it just happen yesterday? Did you get a flat tire on your way to a holiday celebration? Or are you dealing with stressors because you're working through family traditions without a special loved one in the picture anymore? Again, there's no unique response, or there's many unique responses to stress. There's no one size fits all, because managing your stress is kind of a case-by-case basis with each and every individual. Our bodies all react differently to stress. But regardless of who you are, there's essentially two choices that we can make. We can choose to change the situation, or we can choose to change a reaction. When we're making those choices, we need to think about making a safe choice. Every single choice that we make about changing the situation or changing our reaction to that situation or to our stressor needs to be safe. We cannot harm ourselves and we cannot harm others with our choice. So let's talk about changing the situation. When it comes to changing the situation, there's a couple things that we can do. We can evaluate the physical environment. So, for example, if the color of the walls affect your mood, or if you are worried about a toddler falling down the stairs or a loved one with dementia wandering out of the house in the middle of the night, there's things that you can do to modify your environment. You can use paint, gates, or alarms on the door to address those particular stressors and kind of just remove the stressors from your life. You can take a look at the people in your life. Is there a person or a group of people who really cause you stress? If so, you may need to distance yourself from those people, or you need to be able to give yourself permission to resign from an organization or group that could be toxic to you, or maybe just not even necessarily toxic, overwhelming to you. And I get that as the holiday season's here, it can be difficult to avoid some people that cause you distress. So think about things that you can do to change the situation throughout a holiday celebration. Maybe you can change the situation by incorporating a walk after your celebratory meal. Maybe you can adjust the length of your celebration. Think about things like that to change your physical environment or take a look at the people in your life and how you interact with them. Another thing with changing the situation as it relates to stress is to review your calendar. Sometimes stress results from our inability to say no. Look at your commitments. Are you doing what you want to do, what you should do, what you have to do? If part of your stress is overcommitting yourself, pare back. Many commitments and tasks are beneficial, but if it is hurting your health, it may not be worth it. The other thing we can do with stress management is change our reaction. So let's laugh, don't cry. Try to find ways to incorporate humor into stressful situations. Some things we just cannot change. These are things that we need to learn to accept versus letting them bother us. So like I mentioned, if you're evaluating the people and you can't avoid or distance yourself from people or organizations that cause distress in your life, then let's change our reaction to that. Anticipate what might be stressing you out when surrounded by those individuals and identify ways that you can change your reaction by incorporating humor into the situation so that less enjoyable emotions do not overtake you. Compromise. We don't need to be right all the time. There's a lot of ways to get from point A to point B. Sometimes being right, a lot of times being right, actually interferes with good communication, and it can cause stress when we are so focused on what the other person is doing. We really stop thinking about things objectively when we're really focused on only being right. We're listening to answer instead of listening to understand. And when we start doing that, other people shift their communication skills and they stop wanting to listen to understand and they listen to answer. It all becomes this competition of who's going to be right. Just remember that if we ask someone to change, we need to be willing to change ourselves. Focus on meeting in the middle. Not every battle is worth fighting. And this leads into letting it go. Ask yourself, does it really matter? Will it matter in 5 years? We sometimes have to pick our battles. For instance, a mother and child fought most mornings about what the child was going to wear to school. The child chose gym shorts and t-shirts over the mother's choice of school clothes. It was causing stress in the relationship as well and starting the day off with ugly confrontation. When the mother finally decided to let their child choose which clothes to wear, the morning conflict ended and they both started their day with a much more enjoyable outlook on life because they were not dreading this conflict every single day. Set realistic expectations for yourself, shifting your focus to look at what is really important and taking care of yourself emotionally and physically. All of these things will increase your confidence to deal with stress. Sometimes taking a deep breath, meditating, and relaxing, taking time to smell the roses around you, for example, is a way to appreciate the little things so that you do not overreact to the big things. When I think about the holidays, one thing I think about is expectations. We have lots of different expectations in our lives based on how we were raised or how we envision doing life today and in the future surrounding our routines and rituals. And the holidays really, raise the bar. I think society and media kind of challenge us to do that, but it's just a special time in our life. When we think about those expectations, we want to make sure that we're on the same page with those that we celebrate with. Plus, is it a healthy page to be on? Write down your expectations for the holidays, and then I want you to partner a way to communicate that expectation to whom it may concern with every single expectation that you have. So if your expectation is to stay within a budget for the holidays, you need to then come up with a strategy to how are you going to communicate that and who does it need to be communicated to. So you can just take a scratch piece of paper and essentially make 3 columns. List your expectation. Who do you need to communicate that expectation to? And how are you going to communicate it? Are you going to communicate it with words? Is it going to be face-to-face conversation or over technology? Or is it going to be communicated with a behavior? Again, you always have to challenge yourself when you step back and reflect about what you've written down. Is it a healthy page to be on? It's not really a good idea with your stressors to set yourself up for stressors and expectations that are not a healthy page to be on. When I think about healthy pages to be on and health and wellness as a whole, I kind of think about a 3-legged stool. As you look at your list of expectations, who needs to be communicated that expectation and how you're going to communicate it, think about that 3-legged stool. If that expectation is not healthy, you need to get rid of it. But you can't just pull one leg out of a 3-legged stool without putting something healthier there. So if you're going to X out an expectation because it's not healthy, then make sure that you have a more healthy strategy to incorporate. The holiday season is probably not a good time of year because of the busyness of it. can be very overwhelming just with the schedule that we have. Again, that's a way that you can change your situation by adjusting your schedule, but that's beside the point right now. You can't pull all 3 legs out in one given holiday season very easily. If you can, kudos to you. It's my suggestion to maybe think about one of those legs, one of those expectations that you want to alter, and then work on the other legs at a different time. Don't overwhelm yourself. So I get that the holiday season is here, and it can be difficult to implement changes in the here and now. But going forward, as you make your goals and resolutions for 2020, you can think about these expectations. You can have this list. You have identified who you need to communicate with and how you want to communicate with them. And you can be one of your resolutions for next year to work on those, to set short-term goals at different phases of the year so that when the 2020 holiday season approaches, you're more comfortable with your expectations and your stress management strategies. Maybe you will have completely removed some stressors from your life. As we wrap up Purple Sunrise, I just want to take a moment to wish you and yours a healthy and safe holiday celebration season. Keep things in perspective. Look for solutions rather than only the problems. Make sure to set aside relaxation time. Do something you enjoy each day. Keep your sense of humor. Focus on connecting with others. Communicate your expectations as necessary. Be willing to ask for help. And overall, make sure that you're practicing healthy habits. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time, Purple Sunrise.